So, welcome to Learning from Singapore Entrepreneurs, the podcast where we get real about how startup life is really like. I'm Tedman, founder of Nugget, and this is Shoaib, my co-founder. And in each episode, we sit down with different founders who have turned ideas into thriving businesses. We talk about the messy middles, the big wins, and the hard lessons that they wish they knew earlier. So you can take your next step with confidence. So today we have Evan. Yeah. Right.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me here.
Right. Great. So, Evan, give us a quick intro. Who you are, what your startup does, and how you got into this whole crazy journey.
Okay, it can get a bit long-winded. So I'm Evan here. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Quest. So Quest is Singapore's local marketplace that is on demand, where you can actually hire someone to do pretty much anything for you. But we mainly focus on three things: so content creation, hiring of UGC, all this, errands and deliveries, and for businesses, a lot of them use us to hire for like part-timers to do events, F&B, and all that. And we actually started during the COVID period, in 2021, when we launched the app. So it's almost 4 years since we launched the app in the app stores. And back then, when during the COVID-19 period, one of the aim was for us to build a platform so that people could kind of have an additional income as a side hustle. And the concept of Quest, like a place for you to run errands and like to get things done, came about because one day I just wanted someone to in I think it was like 3 a.m. I was craving like Cocoa Crunch. It'd be good if like to set buy for me a Cocoa Crunch because I was craving it. And I think at that point in time I was like, wow, I really want to eat it, that like I don't mind paying like $20 for it. But I was like, but there's no such like platforms for us to do that. I think there's Grab, but Grab is a bit merchant based, and it wasn't really meant for that. There's Carousel, but I think you can get it done, but it's not so on demand, and it's not really meant for such services. I was like, oh, then maybe what if someone can like do a quest for you? Because like when you play games, and you can hunt monsters or something, and you can get rewarded for it. So I was like, oh, then that's how the idea and name of Quest came about. And when I met my co-founders in SMU in 2021, they got sold on the idea. Or got food into this with me. And that's how we actually got started. And in the earlier days, how we got it started was we actually used a Telegram channel to kind of validate, because and I don't think we think of Telegram at that point in time because like we understand startups and like, oh, we want to be lean and go Telegram. I think the fact is that we just didn't know how to do an app. So while my CTO and CPO they were spending a lot more time researching how to even do UX UI, what is Figma and all that, and trying to build an app, or what language to use and all that. I was like, you know what? Let me just get started on Telegram first to see whether is anybody using us. And we just started a Telegram channel, which is still existing today. We are called Quest High Hero. And initially, how we get our user, we just go to other platforms actually, like forums and all that, where people were posting requests already. And then, but because those platforms are not really meant for that, we just ask, oh, do you want me to do it for you, or post it on my Telegram channel that just started? And if nobody do it for you, I'll do it for you. So they were like, oh, sure. So the one of the first few was like, help me plan my wedding. Or like, no, sorry, it was help me with my wedding proposal. So back then, my girlfriend and I, we went for it. It was like a science center, and we earned $300 from it. And actually, that itself, the first quest, was quite an interesting story. So it kind of got a little viral in the Quest community, and then we share it on Telegram on that. So that's how we built our first like we solved the cold start problem, and we have the first 1,000 users just manually posting from different places and just sharing on Telegram. Yeah, so that's how Quest started.
Wow. The first one is already so interesting. Like someone said, like, please help me like plan a proposal. That's insane.
Yeah. And I still vividly remember this because like it was during the Christmas. It was on Christmas Day itself that we did the quest. It was pretty good paying. It was fun for myself and also for the person requesting it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's quite interesting for first quest to do, yeah. Not bad, not bad.
I wanted to ask, right? So then when you started on the Telegram group, like how many have you grown into like for the Tele group, the hierarchy role? And when did you decide to actually say like,
Yeah.
okay, like guys, let's shift this over to the app?
So, I mean, in all honesty, we always wanted to do an app. Uh, like I think in hindsight, if I can advise myself again, then Telegram must be really good first. We make sure we have revenue first before we move on. But I think back then it was actually the Telegram was a way to store time while my co-founders were trying to build out an app. And because it's just the three of us, there's only that, and we really don't know how to do anything. So at that point in time, so it just took months to build an app out. So because of that, we had sorry the Telegram to kind of like make how an app will look like. But I think in the end, it took around 6 months to build it up, and also by then we had around I think 3 to 4 thousand users on Telegram. So I think that was a good enough time. Things were getting out of hand because how we did it was like we had a Google form, so people could just post their request on the Google form, and then we kind of like post it on our Telegram channel. But honestly, it wasn't that much, but it was a lot of the difficulty comes about when there were a lot of people wanting to do the quest. So for example, like I need 20 presents to be wrapped because I want to send to my team. I think and because it was high paying, there was a lot of people who because it's so manual, right? So they have to DM me on Telegram. And then like it can be in just like half an hour, there were 30, 40 people texting me on Telegram. So I had to like, please contact this guy, please contact this guy. So it got a bit out of hand. And I think that was a good sign to like, okay, you know what? I think an app would really, really help with this scalability problem with the Telegram channel. And also back then we couldn't monetize it properly as well because it was Telegram. So
Yeah.
the app gave us a ability to monetize as well.
Like kind of curious, like how does your business model work right now? And has it like evolved over time?
In our business model started I think right now business model is very similar to how we started, but the difference in last time and now is the adoption rate of it. So our business model since the start has been always to earn through transactions. So after each transaction is successful, we take a cut out of it. And the idea behind this is that so that we are very incentivized to make sure the quest is being completed as a platform, because like when the heroes earn, we earn as well. And the higher the earnings, like that means the higher value it comes, then Quest also earn as a business as well. So we thought that like by matching our success to the hero success, that was a right way to think. But I would say that the earlier stages, the mistake we made was that it was too okay. So we did have the transaction flow, and even since the start, we have been like we have been emphasizing on the safetyness of it. So people had to like put their money in escrow with Quest until the job is completed, and then we release the funds. But back then we allow our users to freely communicate. So it's a bit like Carousel where like you can just text whoever you want, and then you can just say, yeah, let's continue on WhatsApp, on Telegram, or that. And initially we did that to kind of like bring in liquidity, because at the start, that was how Telegram was like. So when we moved into our app, we thought in the same way, and we just wanted as much liquidity as possible. So we wanted like every quest there were a lot of people asking questions, and that was kind of like a magic moment for a lot of our the people who posted. So but in doing so, what happens is that a lot of people leaked out. So nobody actually used the transaction method, and Stripe takes quite a fee out of this when you pay by card and
Yeah,
escrow.
a
People
lot.
wanted to avoid this fee. So nobody actually transacted properly in Quest. So we didn't manage to make any revenue at the beginning years actually. Or like a meaningful revenue in that sense. Um but that so because of that we adapted. So we were like, okay, you know what, let's look at other business model, other platforms where they charge per post, or they do like they let you post for free but they limit you and everything. So we tried all these things, we tried subscription. I think a lot of things didn't work out in the end. And one big problem that came out again and again despite whatever model we had was there was a lot of scams. So scams was quite a big part in Quest, because like let's say Coldplay came or whoever came, and then people are like, oh, I need someone to so I mean that happens in Carousel, but how people use it in Quest differently is like, oh, they were like, oh, I need someone to help me sell my tickets, or I need someone to help me buy a ticket, and then that's how different scams can come about. So in order to combat all this, we took a hard make a hard decision and say like, you know what, let's not let people chat until they make a quest like sorry, a transaction. So but that was a very hard decision to make because most of our users behave that way already, and we were like, oh man, like if we were to do it, uh I think we'll lose like 90% of our users. So even between my co-founders and I, we were not very sure whether we should do it. But I think the scams were getting out of hand, and then we also weren't making meaningful revenue, or like we couldn't see it grow consistently enough. So we're like, you know what? Let's just lose 90% of users if that's the case, because it's not like this 100% of our users right now is good enough for us to grow in the right way. So in 2024, like so just last year, early last year, we made a decision. You know what? Let's make sure that this doesn't happen again. Like let's make sure that our platform is safe. So we did that. And thankfully we didn't lose 90% of our users. I think we did lose some users, like 20 to 30% of our users. And till today, some users still complain like, oh, they wish that it's like last time and everything. But I can proudly say that we don't have any scams at the moment. Like it's not even possible to get scam on our platform if you follow our guideline properly. So that kind of helped, and then the quality of users got a lot better over time. And then we started to properly earn through each transaction. So 2024 was especially the front part of 2024 was a lot of focusing on like fixing the foundational business model that we had, which worked for us. Yeah.
Wow, like that's always a tough decision. I think that we interview other founders too, right? Mostly this thing comes up that there's always a point where they need to make a crucial decision, which would actually lead to the loss of users. And like the ones that they make it, they never regret it. Like, so that's like a bold decision on your part. I think that that's quite respectful that you all like took the lead, even though like there was a chance that you lose 90%. But no scams on Quest. I think that's a big feat. I think a lot of other platforms like that are in your business have a lot of scam issues. Like I mean, like online posting always has issues, right? Like anyone can use it, anyone can post anything, and then that causes a lot of problems. But so then, man, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I was also quite shocked that like it was such a big problem. Because I think it's like really have to balance or whether you want like do you want to take that risk to like really potentially lose that many of your users versus like making the platform like a much more safer and maybe like people are more willing to like use it in the future. So like I would say that that's like one of the most difficult decisions that founders would have to like take. It's like balancing whether or not having users or like improving the quality or like maybe in like different businesses that will like have different considerations. But like yeah, these kind of tough decisions are always out there.
Yeah. We honestly ponder a lot about whether we should do it. But in hindsight, I'm thankful we did it. At least now we can sleep a lot better, because last time really like anytime someone would email us and say, oh, I got scammed from this, da, 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 da. But now, if people still do that, they must have really broke through different ways to get it out, and then they got scammed. So at least now it's very, very clear on our platform that we make it super hard for you to get scammed. Yeah.
Mm,
So that's something I think I'll say I'm quite proud of.
mm, nice. Okay, then maybe we dive into some other questions. Okay, so okay, let's ask like a more insider question. So like
Sure.
uh okay, what is one part of your business, right, that you would wish that people ask more about, like during maybe like interviews or like podcasts like this? It's like the kind of thing that you
Mm,
want to share, but like the question doesn't really come up.
okay, so for this, I think it really depends on who is asking the question. So maybe in podcast,
Mm,
I think most of the time we will the questions being asked is always very nice, right? So I think it's always pleasant. But something I wish maybe more of our users ourselves themselves to ask us is actually more on the safety part. Like, oh, actually what do y'all do with like how do y'all make your platform safer? Because we actually spend so much time making things safe, like escrow. So yeah, actually,
mm-hmm.
I wish our users ask more questions actually, like how to use the platform properly, how to use, and I would be more than happy to teach them. So, uh, yeah, I think if I could, like, if we can like get more people to understand how Quest works, or why some features are like that. Sometimes even very simple things like, or people might just complain or like, oh, why is this button so slow? But actually there were actually some technical reasons why it was like that. It was worse before that. So yeah, so maybe sometimes yeah, we wish more of our own users ask us questions like that, like why we make certain decisions.
Hmm. Okay. Right, great. Then building on the point where tough decisions have to be made constantly, like throughout a startup journey, right?
Mhm.
Maybe like what you can share with like because share with the students like what is an ugly truth, right? About maybe how building a startup is like the like the not
Mm.
talked about of side of it.
I think okay, so maybe some context, right? For as a personality, I think I'm someone quite extroverted. I'm quite I'm usually quite happy and everything. So I think before starting on this journey, I don't think I really understood what is anxiety and all that before. So not that it was so tough building a business, but the honest truth is that building a business and handling so many things, especially when you're a student, there's a lot of different things to balance, right? So we have like investor that put a lot of faith in us, invest in us. We have a lot of users that use us. We also have a lot of haters that use us and didn't like us. So I think at a lot of point in time, um like nowadays it's a little bit better, but there were many times when our runway was very short or we were not very sure of like what we are building was the required thing. Like we don't know what we don't know. So I think that creates a lot of anxiety. Even now, like suddenly, oh, like why do they download it so low for some reasons? And then it just affects your mood a little bit. And that can be quite a scary thing. And I would say at where Quest is at the moment, we are not like I wouldn't say that we have product market fit or anything yet. Like we have different signs that we think some things are doing well, but it's not like we are super successful in a very obvious way yet. So this makes it quite scary for us. And we like my co-founders and I was lucky enough to have one internship before that. But like for myself, my CTO Craig, he hasn't even done an internship before. So he actually just put his whole life on this. So it's a bit scary because we yeah and then as we grow older, we graduated, all our friends have like full-time jobs. I'm very sure that a lot of them are like earning more than us. So I think those are things that we got used to, but it's not always the sexiest things of being an entrepreneur. Yeah, and it's something that we will always worry as we even I think we this side of the anxiety part. I think no matter how big you grow, that you will always be worried about the business and everything. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's something to consider if you're wanting to start a business.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think a lot of founders also mentioned like there's like a lot of things that they have to take care of, especially if they are starting out during like uni or like when they are still studying. Because it's like balancing like a lot of different things. Like startup, you are there's no other departments. You are like a one-man show or like a small team handling like everything for a company. So it's like you have to. They don't really. A lot of founders at the start found it very difficult when they had to they have to balance like a lot handling like all these different tasks at the same time. Okay. Then right, then how about this? So how did your family or friends react when like you first told them that you wanted to start like doing like this startup? It's like, like the story on how like, I wanted Coco Crunch and then like you did had on this idea, right? And then like how did it go when you were like sharing it with your family and friends?
Hmm.
Like,
I think it was okay. I honestly, I'm very grateful that my family and friends were very supportive of what I've always wanted to do. But I also think that because for myself at least, being an entrepreneur is always something that I talk about. So it's not something new to my family that, oh, like, huh, why does he want to start something? So I always like the idea of starting a business or solving a problem or like I like freedom and all that. Like I think and making things out of my own creativity. So I think because of this, it wasn't too big of a shock for my family, but rather they were concerned like oh, like does this mean like you will quit school, will you stay in school and everything. So I think, and honestly, building Quest, there were times that the three of us, like my co-founders and I, we questioned like, oh, should we like quit school or anything. But thankfully everyone, even including our investors, were like, oh no, y'all should complete your school, please study hard and everything. So and thankfully we didn't. Yeah, so I would say that honestly, my family and friends were very supportive. In fact, a lot of my friends became like the first users. They were advocates for us, which I'm very very grateful for. And I think, but the question is will be a bit more interesting if you ask this to my co-founders, because for my co-founders, they are I would say that they are not your typical entrepreneur type where they like, oh, they want to build something. And I say, as I said earlier, like they kind of got fooled into this whole idea with me, and they are just stuck in this with me. But so for them, like they always, I think they've always envisioned that they would just go into corporate and all that. So I think when I approached them when they were year one in uni, and then they want to start something, I would imagine their parents were very concerned. But I think as we build, as we gain traction, and we've been so consistent in doing this, slowly but surely, all our families were I would say right now is very supportive in that sense. Like I think, after the first year, my CTO's dad bought him some book, like, oh, like this is some case study book or something. And I was like, oh wow, your family is so supportive of you. So yeah, it's very grateful that our families are okay with this.
Oh, nice. So it's like they, for maybe like for them, they took a little bit longer, but in the end, I think it's like one of the main pillars lah, to have the people around you support you, especially when you want to do a startup. It's quite challenging because it's like a very different route compared to what we usually learn lah. Like, oh, I have to go to a corporate job, then slowly climb the ladder and everything. Right. Then in that case, maybe let's share a little bit more about what's upcoming for Quest. So like since you all already have launched an app, you all have your like you all graduated from Telegram into like app and everything. So like maybe let's share a little bit like if you can, like what is up and coming for Quest.
Oh yeah, I would love to share that. So, yeah, I think you're very right. Were from Telegram channel, and then there were issues in it. Then we moved on to an app. So now, as an app, Quest is a fully functional marketplace for local services. But one of the things that we are very excited and working on is that, or rather, why we are started working on this is that a lot of the businesses and recurring like customers, one of the profiles of these people are in the 30s, in the 40s with families. They're busy professionals or like entrepreneurs. So one of the things that they told us is that, yeah, I mean, Quest can solve that problem. They can use it to hire, but they still have to screen through all the users. They have to interview the candidates. They have to pick, and then if let's say something happens, then they have to like manage it. And then release the payment, all these kind of things. So they were like, oh, so many times these businesses will come to us and say, oh Evan, are you able to like handle this for me, like as a concierge or like a personal assistant? And to make revenue for the business, we always just say yes, we will do it for you. So a side income for the business has always been us doing concierge services for numerous businesses. But it's super unscalable because like we have to post it, we have to use another account to manage, get the screen through and everything. So with today's technology, like in AI and different agentic models out there, that we can adopt, we're like, hey, is there something that we can do to actually replicate this whole concept system for? So we thought out about it and we're like, oh, what if we were to create an like AI agent or even an AI assistant that can help post and do everything autonomously from all the way from the request to completion. So I think that's something big that we are working in Quest. But of course, this requires a lot of infrastructures and a lot of resources to build it. So we're taking things step by step in phases. We now have an AI bot where we can get the request out, but we're still working on how can we kind of like synchronize everything, because right now all our different agents and AI tools and everything are working in silo. So the big picture now is how can we form an orchestration layer to kind of like match everything together, and it can work autonomously. So that's a big thing to transform our very mobile app native marketplace to an AI native platform. And that's I would say is our goal for 2026. The main thing for Quest today is still to make sure that our fundamentals as a marketplace is strong. We have recurring businesses, recurring revenue, and we are very stable first before we move on to something much bigger. But that's something I would say that my team and I are very excited about.
Yeah, I was saying that like the AI thing is really quite cool. I think that in your use case, it's like you can really automate like quite a lot of things. If like you say like if the orchestration is like well like it's fine tuned and like well implemented. One thing I wanted to ask, which usually our audience also wants to know, is that like when you implement these AI features and everything, right? How do you go about testing them? And then how do you decide like, okay, yeah, like is it maybe like in your case it's still like on test phase, but in a sense that like, oh okay, finally we can deploy this and it will be deployed like in a safe manner because a lot of other how to say people who are trying to deploy AI chatbots, they always like come back and say like, hey, the chatbot said this and the chatbot said that. Right? I'm sure that there is a concern for you too. So how are you actually like navigating like those concerns?
Okay, so I think for us, everything still come back to like what we need to solve first. So we actually started with AI features since like last year in 2024. We first started with like just generating AI description because we realized that people could not type properly or type very accurately the description. So this leads to some cancellations because things weren't clear. So we first use AI to generate like clearer descriptions and all that. And then we realized that people are not very sure about pricing, like how should they price their quest, what is historical data and all that. So we use AI again to generate record pricing based on your title and all that. So I would say that like most of our AI features has always been backed by user experience. So like we always want to make sure like how can we make sure that we can flow through the funnel, make sure that like quests can get into completion from when they get posted. So it has always been that thinking. And then we will run experiments. So it can be as simple as like, well, like us as a concept, we type that for people and we post it and realize that because we understand it so much better, because we've seen it so much, we know the pricing, we know what works. So I think then we think about scaling it. So like, the pricing. So at the moment, these things are all working individually, and the big picture is just putting them together. But one thing you also were concerned is like, then how do we know whether this thing work? I think then that's for us to test and slowly learn through the feedback, using a feedback loop to learn from our users. But yeah, I'll say that the main like whenever even if it's an AI feature or not, it always goes back to the user experience that we are trying to solve and to make it better. Yeah.
Right. Now, then let's go on to our last few sections. So let's do a few quick fire questions. So, Evan, what is one tool you cannot live without?
I normally like to say Quest, but not we really use Quest ourselves. But not to self promote, right? I would think WhatsApp. Like I use WhatsApp quite a lot, whether it's talking to businesses, like our own clients, or my own family members, and my own team members. Like and our AI bot is actually on WhatsApp as well. So yeah, I think WhatsApp would be one tool that I can't go without.
Okay, cool. Okay, then now, pitch your startup in 5 words. No using any buzzwords.
5 words.
Then,
Get help, reliable, safe, local.
wow,
Oh, actually, that's quite good.
that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
How do you manage in 5 words? That's amazing.
Yeah, so this is usually one of the more tougher questions people have to think a little bit because usually it's 1 minute, but then now we're reducing it all the way to 5 words.
Oh.
That's good. Okay, then maybe we'll do just one more question. So, what's the weirdest DM that your startup has ever gotten?
Wow, weirdest DM. I think it's because of the nature of Quest where it's so horizontal. We do get quite a lot of random people asking questions like, like I suspect that my boyfriend is cheating or my husband is cheating. Can I use Quest to hire someone to stalk him? And then before we can even reply, they actually post a quest about it. Like, I think he is at Gardens by the Bay. Can you like drive there to like spy on him or like okay, not spy on him, like take pictures and if he's really with someone else, tell me. Yeah. So not that we really allow this because it's honestly in the gray area, but yeah, we get such DM quite frequently. Yeah.
That's
Oh my,
crazy.
that is Very interesting to be landing in your DMs. All right, then I think we will start to wrap up for the podcast. Okay, so now we can share maybe ways for our listeners and viewers, right? How to follow your startup, like the journey that like since as you move on into like your next step.
I think one of the ways you can follow Quest journey is just to be one of our users. So if you are interested in Quest and what we do if you want to earn as a hero or here to get someone to help you get things done, you can just download our app. It's available in both the Play Store and the App Store. And we update it very frequently. So our sprints is around 2 weeks long. So I think every 2 weeks you'll hear from me through like the new updates, what we have. So I think if you really want like to see our journey, just download the app and you should be part of the journey. Or follow us on Telegram, the usual like Instagram or this. Like we are quite we update it very regularly. Oh, my favorite is the TikTok because I think that my team does very good content on TikTok. So if you like to be entertained, then follow our TikTok.
All right, so many
Yeah,
social.
I'll definitely check out the TikTok. I think that's good. But one thing I want to mention, since you mentioned that, is like your ads they really have like quite sprints, which is damn good actually. Like if you download the app, then you can really follow up. Because I used the Telegram version previously, but then recently I downloaded the app as well. And I think that like it's really quite cool. If you want to follow Quest, it's quite useful. And plus more of that is like you can really follow the startup journey and how they're going. I think your phase right now is like a lot of iterations and testing out and going out. So I think users can voice out what they like as well. So that's kind of really cool.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then moving on to our final questions is okay. So now you get to leave one sentence on a post-it for the next founder walking this journey. What would you say?
When you say walking into this journey as in like they're a new budding
Startup journey.
entrepreneur, is it?
Like
Okay. Then I'll say um okay, I'll say like pick your battles. Like there's always gonna be different opportunities out there. As an entrepreneur and startup founder, there's always so many things to do. So I think make sure you pick the right battles to fight in. Because at the start we always try to do everything and then it ends up in nothing.
all right. All right, great. Okay, so well, okay, thank you, Evan, for joining us on this podcast. Yeah.